Now that we are powered back, welcome back to some more Stormworks. I'm StormRunner Gaming, and today we're going to be looking at this infinitely powered boat here that I picked up off the workshop. It is actually one of the featured items on the workshop right now, and I was quite interested because it claims to have infinite power. So, I mean, I think my infinite whale power might have been a little bit better, a little bit more efficient here, but I don't know, I probably would have lost the speed race versus this vehicle here. But it is a pretty cool vehicle, so I'm going to jump right into it. And we do have a couple amenities on here, like the spotlight and lights on the front. And a huge front part here on the deck to carry around, it seems like 4 crates. As well, we do have a little interior part here with 2 beds and a little, looks like, kitchen-ish area. And of course we do have our power breakers back here for main power and the engine power as well. I'm going to go up to the little captain's quarter up here and closing that off. On either side you do have these wings with a red cannon of sorts. I'm not exactly sure what you're supposed to be doing with those, but they're there, I assume, more for aesthetic purposes. But now that we've looked through that, we do have a vessel alarm, some deck lights, and a couple other lights on here as well. But I'm going to turn the propulsion online and just let the cruise control take us out to the ocean here. And real quick, 2 things I want to say. The static, as you can hear, it's a little bit louder as I've gotten outside of the ship here. That is actually from the ship itself and not from my mic, so I do apologize for that being there. Yeah, and number 2, if you guys do want to stick around, I am going to be taking apart this boat pretty thoroughly and trying to figure out how they've done infinite power. I have created some sort of infinite power myself, and as I know, it is basically all you're doing is putting an electric motor gearbox back up to a generator, and that produces a little bit more power than it uses per second. So I'm assuming the creator of this vessel has used enough of them to create more power to drive that water jet on the back end here. And it's pretty good because the creator of this has got it going about 33 to 34 kts. Not exactly sure what unit they're using, but it seems decently fast, all things considered, for the size of the vessel here. Alright guys, so this vessel is called the Comet II. I do apologize that I forgot the name earlier, but now that I do, I'm going to quickly read over what the creator of this, Daylight4449, has said about the vehicle. They have said it's a futuristic all-electric multi-role cargo ship capable of carrying bulk deck cargo or over 10,000 liters of liquid cargo. However, due to the design, the turbines in the reactor make it extremely loud noise, so that's a downside. Of course, like I was talking about earlier, that static you're hearing right now is that loud noise the creator is talking about. So of course it is a downside, but the futuristic infinite technology for electric is a pretty cool addition to this vehicle. And as far as I've tested, I believe it is infinite. And that does answer my one or two questions I had about it. If we do look, I'm not going to go off the controls here, but the liquid in and out back here, that is not for fuel, that is actually for that fluid container of up to 10,000 liters. That's actually a pretty cool addition that I really wasn't thinking about. And it seems like it would be a very good thing for either carrying fuel somewhere, water, jet fuel or something. I mean, you could go on a rescue mission to refuel one of your friends in multiplayer, or for one of the missions in-game. So, of course, with infinite power, you can get anywhere, but you're limited to a crew of about 2, and you're going to have to go to a place if you do put those, I believe it's ISO containers on here, and those 4 slots. You're going to have a crane wherever you are transporting them to get them on or off of the boat here. But Although those are one or two downsides, it's still an amazing design, and I'm liking it too. So we're going to bring it back into port here, and I'm going to slow down a little bit so I don't scuff it anywhere. And we're actually going to rip this thing apart and see what makes that super futuristic power tick inside. I'm going to bring it back into the workshop here. And we're going to rip this thing apart pretty quickly, as I'm hoping here. And it seems like they do have one battery, and that rear water jet is powered by an electric motor here. And that is controlled by a little bit of logic up to the control room. Nothing extremely fancy if you do know the advanced part of the game. But this is the part I'm more interested in, and I'm a little bit confused by it. Because, as I was talking about earlier, I assumed that the creator was using small or maybe medium electric motors with a couple of gearboxes into some generators, but that doesn't seem like what's going on here. Because, for some reason, they have a jet engine on here. I believe that is a jet engine on there. Or it's a piece of the jet engine. Let me make sure what part that is there. So as I can tell, it is a medium turbine. And I'm assuming those little engines are maybe spinning it up to a higher speed. And then that is outputting power to it. And I've never seen that design for a vessel before. That's actually a quite interesting design that they have created there. And it seems like you've got a constant number running all of those, a constant 1 number. So all these little electric engines are running at full tilt to run those medium jet turbines there. So I'm going to definitely have to take that out to Storm's lab one of these days, maybe during a stream or something where I'm playing around with values and see if or how productive these actually are. Because this is, like I said earlier, I'm apologizing that I'm repeating myself, but I've never seen this, and I'm interested to test it out for myself and see how much it is actually producing by itself. And we can actually test that out by seeing, by kind of not cheating the system, but by ramping up the amount of power it is producing and seeing if the system back here can actually keep up with it. So basically the only thing I want to do here is by changing out a little bit of piping and control here and switching out that medium motor for a large electric motor and seeing if it can keep up with it really. Because I'm not exactly sure if it can. Because as I've tested my own systems with electric motors running gearboxes into the generators, the output is a very small amount of positive energy in that side. So I'm thinking this right here probably will not be able to keep up with a large electric motor. But the one nice thing is that we do have a power meter right here, so we will know if our power is going down or not. So I'm going to quickly connect up all of this and I'll be right back with that. Alright, now that we have everything connected up with that large motor there, we're going to drop it down into the water here and see if that system down there can actually keep up with the motor or not. And I'm probably going to come back at this later and see exactly how much power it is producing per one of those modules on there, because the creator has put, I believe, somewhere between 10 and 20 of those systems on here. So I am going to see how much power each one of those things is producing. And it seems like even though we put in a large motor instead of a medium one, we are only going maybe 1 to 2 kps faster here. Not even. I think we were 34 or 35 earlier and we're getting, or excuse me, 33 or 34 with the medium engine, and we're getting 34 or 35 here. And it still seems like the system is keeping up with that amount of power. So there's one more thing I can think to do. If it's got so much of an overhead amount of power that it's creating, we just ramp up the amount of engines to where basically the system can't keep up. So we're going to push the boat to see how fast we can get it and how ridiculous the amount of power this boat is creating here. So I'm going to go into the workshop here, move a couple engines around and see how powerful I can actually make this thing created. Or excuse me, how much power I can draw out of this before this thing starts not producing enough power to keep it running. Alright, so for this final version I have here, I have 3 large electric motors on here, and I'm hoping that that'll tap out the system. If not, that is a crazy amount of power that we are producing. Yep, there it goes. It is easily overtaken by all of those motors. And we're not going any faster with that. We might actually be creating some problems. And I think as we use... Yep, there we go. We'll produce more power as less power is used by the engines themselves, because then the little electric motors can spin faster and we produce more power. Yeah, but it looks like there definitely is a limit to this infinite power here. So if you do run maybe one large motor off of something at full tilt, it'll be able to power it easily, but the modules on here aren't sufficient to run 3 large motors. So definitely in probably a future stream or something, I don't know where I'm going to be streaming it on, but future stream or episode, I'm going to break down the infinite power module here and maybe do a tutorial of how to build it. So of course, if you guys do want to see that, leave a comment down below. And of course, I am also going to figure out how much power is being produced for each one of those, just like I did with the solar panels, looking at how much power is being produced per second. I'm going to do that with each module of these and see what you can power with each one of those. So it's probably going to be like maybe 10 of those per a medium electric motor, or maybe 1 or 2 for a small electric motor. So maybe you could produce a very small infinite lifeboat or something. So stay tuned for that, of course. But anyways, that is all the time I do have for some Stormworks here. So of course, if you guys like this, please leave a like and consider subscribing to the channel to stay up with Stormworks and more of my content. But I've never been great at goodbye, so people need me and I need to go.